Chair's absence, I am acting as the chair of this 192nd meeting of the EEPC, and I am calling it to order.
The 100th meeting.
192nd.
192nd. That's crazy. It is.
I'm not that old. Okay, can I have a vote on approval of the minutes of the December 18th, 2014 meeting?
I move that we approve the minutes of December
18.
18, 2014.
Is there a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved. Okay, we need a report on the status of audit.
Okay, so, we have two audits that we're going to, that the commission is gonna vote on today. They're the final determination for the Manhattan Borough President's Office and the final determination for the Department of Cultural Affairs. These, agencies, the audits were completed in December,
Yes.
right? And the final determinations were completed, but the agencies have to go into
The
the
compliance.
compliance monitoring period. So the final determinations are up for vote.
Okay. What was your final number of completed audits and compliance for 2014?
The final number for 2014 was 35. It was 35?
Yes, it was 35.
Okay.
Terrific. So that means we're still on record for completing the number that we needed to.
Fabulous.
That's unbelievable.
Yes.
Staff, thank you very, very much. Okay, can I have a vote on approval of the discrimination complaint investigation audit?
Yeah, I move that we approve resolution 2015/010, final determination for Manhattan Borough President's Office.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Approved.
And how about the
And
cultural affairs?
Also, the other, I also move the approval of resolution 2015/126, final determination for the Department of Cultural Affairs.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we've completed item number 3 on our agenda, which is the report on status of audit. We're now going to go to item number 4, report on status of compliance monitoring. And I believe we can finally vote on resolution 2015/069C-1, which is a holdover because we did not have a quorum to vote on it at last meeting. And that is the determination of compliance by HRA. So I'll accept a motion.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve.
And a second.
second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So we have now approved resolution 1. Okay, Judith, discussion.
Okay, so we have several agencies which are being monitored for their implementation of corrective actions. I'm not going to go in order, but I will tell you the Office of Emergency Management has its compliance monitoring period from October 2014 to March 2015, and they are in process. The Department of Finance as well has the same period. And the Department of Probation, their compliance monitoring period is from November through April of this year. The Administration for Children's Services compliance monitoring is from December 2014 to June 2015. And the Department of Consumer Affairs compliance monitoring period is from January 2015 to July 2015.
That all seems to be in order, but why is the New York City Council asking to extend compliance monitoring?
Okay, so the New York City Council has not asked, but at our last meeting, we discussed extending their compliance period because they did not complete compliance. There were, we actually have drafted a letter to the speaker. The City Council has 3 corrective actions that are outstanding, which are substantial. And so, however, City Council did establish what is called an Employment Practices Review Committee, which meets annually. And that committee met on December 1st. And at that meeting, we've been informed that they did look at and consider the issues that were raised in these corrective actions. And they are coming up with next steps to implement these corrective actions. So
Within what time frame?
within 90 days of their last meeting, as I said, which was December 1st, which would put us into March. And so, this was discussed at our last meeting, so we have drafted a letter from the commission to city council, to the city council speaker, informing her that the compliance period has been extended for us, and that we are expecting the results. They actually have a procedure in which next steps, either resolution or necessary steps, are set forth within that 90-day period. If we have either resolution or definitive next steps in how they're going to implement these corrective actions, then that's a point when we can find that they are in compliance.
Okay.
So the draft letter that we're presenting today, that commission members can review, is actually a letter that we agreed that we would send at the last meeting, and the chair said that he was going to send it. He reviewed it, he made some revisions to it, but we're gonna present it to the commission, because he's speaking on behalf of the commission members. And so we just need permission to send the letter.
Do you have copies for each of us to read simultaneously? So we want-
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, is this, yes,
Well, we can discuss it, but having read the letter, I have no comments on it. I think it's fine, it should go as is.
Sounds pretty good.
So I think that the sense of the commissioners here is that we would encourage the chair to send it as soon as possible, given today's date
Right.
and the date by which we are going to take action, which is March 12th, as set out in the letter. So this letter should go as soon as it possibly can,
Okay.
all right?
You'll go on
What would
today.
happen if they do not comply? What would happen within those 90 days?
We end up sending a letter to the mayor, I believe.
And that's what I wanted to know.
Well, the first thing that we would do is inform them
Yes.
of our intention. Well, this letter pretty much says that if within the 90 days, we don't come to some sort of reasonable agreement on what action they will take, that at the next commission meeting, the commission would find them in partial noncompliance. That's the beginning. Then, depending on their
See what they say,
response, right, then we would bring it back to the commission and you guys would determine further steps.
Based on what we did with consumer, based on what we did with consumer affairs, we really do have a history of what we ultimately
Right.
would do.
Right.
The issues that are posed within the letter and the issues of noncompliance are interesting issues. I'm not quite sure how they're gonna resolve them, but they certainly, I think, would require us to take some public sort of action.
But I think you were gonna say what I was just, I think that they've been making positive steps towards fulfilling
You know that?
the recommendations. Even by forming this committee is actually a positive step, and the committee is actually exploring how they will deal with the issues, so we expect that they will come back with either compliance or further steps that they will take to maybe introduce some parallel situation where it can fulfill the requirement.
Okay, good.
So-
I figured that would be the next step.
So I believe we are finished with number 4 on the agenda, report on status of compliance monitoring, and we're up to the audit plan for 2015.
So, we've been doing so well within the past 3 years that there's only 6 agencies. There are only 6
Wow.
agencies that we haven't audited within the past 3 years.
Oh, within the past
Ah.
3 years, which means you would be starting over again sooner.
Yes.
Right.
That's true.
So this year, I think what I want to propose is that we really focus on some of the research work, even though we have our hands full, because I'm doing the annual report right now, which I'm gonna ask you guys if there's anything that you would want to include in that annual report. If you can think of anything, you can let me know, but we're gonna be doing that. We haven't completed the teammate implementation yet, which is taking a lot longer than we thought it would, but not longer than you thought it would, obviously. And we're also doing a lot of, I guess, initial research on issues such as the underutilization, the titles and things of that nature, and putting together audits that have to, we're enhancing the employment practices audit. We're also putting our questionnaires in SurveyMonkey. We're making a lot of things interactive. So that work can be done. We can concentrate on doing that kind of work this year so that when we're ready to roll out the audits, everything will be automated and it will, be a smoother process. So I'm not really worried about, we've proposed about 24 audits here, but we only really need to concentrate on 6 that haven't been done
Well, but
within the past.
we kept pushing you, and I mean, the commission kept pushing the staff to complete the number of audits because we had never met what we viewed as being our charter requirement. The charter requires several different things,
Right,
not the least of which, the charter also has on it a requirement that we do conferences or public meetings, which we haven't done.
right.
So arguably, if you have the ability of doing, for whatever, oversimplistic statement, if you have the ability of doing less audits and therefore can free some time to put the personnel time on looking at doing conferences and public meetings, it seems to me that there's an ample justification in what our charter requires of the commission to do for us to rest on our laurels, having done the number of audits, and for looking at creating audits that will be, if you will, less general and far more meaningful, and spending some time looking at focusing them better.
Right, so at public meetings, you're talking about the public hearing, which is, right, the public hearing that we have coming up, we're also doing some work on that.
Yeah.
So, we have a few issues that are gonna be taking up a lot of our time this year. In addition to the audits that we have, the 6 audits that we have planned here is, 6. Those are also the agencies that we have had, I guess, issues with underutilization in the past. So we really want to focus on what the problems are and focus on figuring out how we can assist the agencies in resolving these issues. So these are gonna be probably more intricate than the typical audit. So I think with this and the public hearing and the teammate and what else do we have going on? The annual report, right, and things like that, we'll.
You have a full plate.
Right,
It'll be busy.
right. But all of the audits after these 6 have completed compliance in 2012 and beyond, and
So we're looking at a
and
total of,
2013.
your plan is a total number of 20,
We have 24 that we can do, but only I think, I would say 6 of them were last completed between 2006 and 2011. 2006 was the Civil Service Commission, which has 9 employees, but the reason why we have not audited that agency is because we would like to, we haven't figured out what direction to go with that audit yet in terms of their actual role within the city's practices rather than internally. And so we would like to put that on the back burner so that we can understand whether or not we need to ask them questions about their role as it regards to the city in its entirety. So we
Aren't
have
they
that
the
in
ones
mind.
that do the testing?
Yeah,
So they're DCAS's arm to do the testing and aren't they the ones that deal with the titles?
there is a division of classification in DCAS, right? But I would assume,
Certification.
right.
They do the titles.
Certification and classification.
I mean, if you're looking at some of the issues dealing with promotion, and that's probably the heart of it.
Right. So we wanna save that one until we go through
Have a better sense of what they
Right.
do.
have the researcher do some more analysis on the issues, especially with civil service centers.
You want to find out what their relationship is to the State Civil Service Commission as well. I mean, you really need to find out what authority they have and what authority rests in the state. Now, I don't know the answer to the question, I'm just posing it.
Right.
Okay.
And if I could just add, in terms of Civil Service Commission, part of our charter mandate is coordinate the city's efforts at equal employment. So for us to have held them off, it's, and to do this kind of audit where we're really looking at what they do, that really is consistent with our charter mandate.
Okay.
So, but pending right now is the city council, HRA is not pending, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, we have
8
6.
agencies
Yeah.
are pending.
Yeah,
6?
8.
8.
Because they're in the compliance stage, or they're about to go into the compliance stage, and then we have the 2 that, or the
Right.
3 we,
Right, they're 8, they're 2 and
Oh,
8.
yeah, these
They're
are
2 and
included
3A, and then they're the 6 that are in 4B. So
Right.
that's the 8
Yes.
on our current agenda.
right.
Right, so we have those, okay. So that's the audit plan for 2015. Are there any other comments?
Sounds great.
No, that's, was that on executive session, the stuff that you got?
Was, it can, I don't know if it needs to be, but go ahead.
Okay, so I'll briefly tell you about a meeting that I had with DCAS on Monday.
Which is now
I think
under
it was
new
Monday or
leadership.
Tuesday. Yes, so I invited DCAS's personnel and human capital units. It was the personnel unit?
HR.
Okay, director of HR and the director of human
Are
capital.
those new appointees as well?
One of them is.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to understand
Sure.
where we are in terms of memory of the relationship and whether
Right.
there's
Yeah.
changed
Yeah.
relationships. I'm trying to understand that based on appointees and appointments.
Right, so in the vein of this commission establishing its autonomy and independence, I invited those individuals from DCAS to discuss with me the historical relationship that the APC has had with DCAS, but also going forward, how they can help us, assist us, facilitate pretty much our independence, which they've stated that they want us to be independent in terms of processing our own paperwork and personnel issues. We want to be independent,
Yes.
and so I don't know why it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
But they agreed to work with us to give us the training and to establish our all of the tools that we need to establish our independence, because we do have our own budget code. So we're on the way to actually processing our own stuff as an independent agency,
great.
like it should be.
Yeah.
Right, and my intention at the end of it is to come up with an MOU. Is to come up with an MOU between the two agencies so that we can understand going forward. what the
No, so that it's
relationship is.
memorialized, and so
Right.
when there's another change, the new administration will be saved from having to go through this again.
Right,
That's great.
Understood.
Yep.
Does that mean that you will have your independent access to their data as opposed to having them have to do the data searches and provide it to you?
in terms of the underutilization stuff for the workforce data?
All of their data on employment stuff?
No, well, this is just out establishing our own independence in terms of hiring, doing our budget transactions and doing our procurement and things like that. We sort of rely on DCAS for that, and so it takes a lot of time whenever we need to do something because we have to
Go through their
stand in
approval.
line
Yeah.
and wait for all of the other agencies that they
No,
exist. But in terms of accessing the workforce data, no, that's all, we're always gonna have to go through the Department of, the Division of Citywide EEO. And actually, I think they actually get the data from,
DCAS has its own IT, information technologies section, unit, and so they get the material from IT. However, it's very highly guarded, and so the citywide EEO gets it, and then we receive it from citywide EEO.
right, so the short answer is no. We won't
Okay.
have direct access to that information.
Okay.
Yeah, we've also requested, and we're starting to get access to the complaint tracking system that they have. Citywide EEO has a complaint tracking system that all agencies put their information into. The extent of our access may not be, we just received part of it today, and so not today, recently, and so we will be looking at the extent of our access and, you know, how well we can use this information.
Well, it seems to me if you get a high range of complaints, then you look at your audit plan, and if there's nothing that requires you to wait 4 years, you could go back in earlier, and it depends on where the complaints are
Right.
That's correct.
and what the complaints are.
Right,
There are
that's
complaints,
what
I
it's
mean, they
for,
could be
yeah.
complaints as to promotion, they could be complaints as to harassment, they could be complaints as to discrimination, and it may very, very well may alter what you do as an audit.
Right.
All right, thank you. Are we up to, so does that complete our discussion of number 5, audit plan?
Yes.
Okay, let's do number 6, new old business, public hearing. I did reach
Oh,
out.
we just spoke about that. Oh, okay.
No, I
yes.
did reach out to Ken Stannard, and who was quite willing to do it. I've not contacted Michelle May yet, but Ken raises some interesting questions, which is, so who exactly is the audience? How many? When? And what do you want me to say?
Mhm.
All of which are, I thought, pretty apt questions. He's clearly willing to do it.
Who's
Uh,
Ken again?
Ken Stannard is a lawyer that I have known for many years, who is currently of counsel to an employment law firm where he is there of counsel as their general counsel, but he is very much involved in diversity, and has been the head of the New York State Bar Association, and currently is the head of the New York chapter of an American Bar, he's head of the American Bar Fellows, which is a research arm for the American Bar Association. You'll be pleased to know. Anyway,
Is there, we didn't try for anybody at federal EEO?
I don't think we finally have done it. We were using him to discuss the history.
I see.
And we had, I mean, I still have the outline with me, and that was the original. He was having been there and been part of the history, as Michelle Mays, who currently is the general counsel of the New York Public Library and had been the general counsel of, I'm trying to think of several different companies, the last one being an insurance company. They both have been, he's been a lawyer both inside and outside of government as well as of Con Edison. They're both Black, they've both been around for over 50 years as lawyers. And it just seemed to me that we could have them talk about the history and their own experiences. Ken did talk about it at a meeting on diversity and his experience of having passed the test for the Marines, but there was no requirement of color, and when they saw his color, he wasn't appointed to the Marines. Those things are what actually happened in life once upon a time. It's not the same thing that happens today, but the issue of diversity continues to be one. So anyway, it was talking about the change in the law, their own experiences, and then beginning to talk about what is, and reaching out to federal authorities, what is, as opposed to what was, seems to me.
It's sort of a past, present, and future, a
Right.
continuum
Yes.
of the civil rights.
Do you want a panel on the history? Is that what we're thinking?
I have it, that's really the question Ken's asking, and I'm really coming back to the commission saying, so I put this outline together, we thought the outline was fine, and we went forward trying to see whether these speakers were available. We don't have a date certain, and we really haven't worked out exactly how we would do it or where, and we know the audience, but we don't really know numbers. So it's just, it's a thing in the planning stage, which is what I will share with him and come back, but it really is taking, my sense was he was receiving a diversity award, and I came back in with having just heard both Ken and Michelle Mays talk about it, that these were people who lived it and breathed it and still are devoted to the issue, and so we could take some of that passion and deliver that passion as to the history. Because I truly think it's more a historical fact. I would think that minority members today really don't, they know there's a problem, but they've never met it in quite the same way as what existed 50 years ago. It's a different problem today.
I wouldn't presume certain things, but okay. Yes, the world has changed.
The world is, he would have been put in the Marine Corps. May not have been made a
Right.
captain.
We don't need to belabor the
Right.
point.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah, that's good.
So that was the reason. So that's my report, and I'm coming back saying, okay, I will talk to him and hold him, but I do need, I think, some response from us as to what planning date are we looking at, because there are dates where he may not be available. I mean, he was on his way to American Bar meeting in Houston, which is happening right now, so he travels a lot and is busy. I don't know what Michelle May's requirements are, although she currently is in New York now. But we ought to figure out what we're dealing with in terms of day, and then try to figure out what we think the possible numbers are and who they would be, and go forward. So I can, so I will send to you his email back to me, and we'll try, and you guys try to give me some answers so I can respond to him.
And so, did you want to go forward?
No, I just think it's a nice opportunity, that's all.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
but,
you have a-
I don't have a personal connection to anybody, so
Okay.
they're gonna ignore my email just as much as anybody
Well,
else.
except that
But
the
your
federal
vision-
employees one, they have an obligation to speak. That's their role. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody from Washington, it could be the local New York officer, of the regional officer. If you ask them, they generally, even with that cold call, they generally will be made
No,
available.
I agree. I'm just saying, like, if you're asking me if I wanted to do this personally, like, you'd let me know, but I don't have any more relationship. But I think it would be great to have a bigger perspective of
Right.
the work that we do here.
Right, yes,
It's very
yes,
interesting.
nice.
And if the federal employee won't do it, there's someone in the state, and you can figure it out. Okay, so is there any more discussion on the public hearing?
No.
We're working out logistical issues.
Do you
We're
know,
working on
do you know where we're gonna hold it? Any idea?
We're looking at several different places,
Right.
yeah. But we'll let you guys know.
We have to-
It'll be in
the
your
date.
apartment.
Yeah.
No, New York Law School, I really still, New York Law School continues to be both here and they do lots of different conferences in their room, and I can't imagine that Anthony Crowell, who used to be counsel to the mayor, would be unwilling if they had a free day to allow us to do it, and might join in, as long as we allow his law students to attend.
But the tentative date that we came up with was, it was a Friday that we talked about.
Guys, I'll send
I'll
it
give it
to
to
you.
you.
Yeah.
Mohini has it, I'll give it to you right after the
Okay,
meeting.
okay. So we're up to new business. You talked a little bit about the annual report for 2014. You want suggestions from us as to what to include in it?
No, I pretty much am gonna follow the format that we have followed, but if there's anything.
Do you want
guys-
to, how about, since you really do have a learning of what we've done and want to, okay, it's not really change the focus, but you really have a sense of wanting to expand our focus and our opportunity. Is this an opportunity to have a forward from the executive director and, or the chair, or both the chair and the executive director about plans for?
We do that, and we've done that in the other,
Yeah.
yeah, we have a section like that, so definitely. And I think we have a section, a
But I would
message from him,
I-
a message from, and then.
Why don't you put it in the front?
It is in the food.
Oh, okay.
There's also a piece in the back that says
Yeah.
2015 and beyond, or
Yes,
something like that,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
So, I'll send you guys a draft,
okay.
but it should be done by the end of the month. I'm predicting,
Okay,
or it should be ready to go by the end of the month.
right.
Of this month.
Yes, that's great.
I would, unless there is some other reason, I would move for adjournment now.
Yes.
Okay.
Second?
Well, you actually have to make a motion for the executive session. You have to make a motion in open session for the executive session. If you will be having an executive session.
Okay. I'm bewildered by that,
Okay.
because if everything's supposed to be public,
No, something during executive session.
Yeah.
all right, then I would entertain a motion for movement to executive session.
I second. I approve, or I,
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Okay, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.